Welcome to today's show, and today we are talking to Inacio, who is the owner of Woodstock Liquors in Cape Town. Welcome to the show, Inacio.
Thank you very much, Olga.
And, Inacio, you've been a wonderful support service to the craft industry in the Western Cape, and I see even a lot of the bottle stores in Joburg and Durban are buying from you. So a big shout out from the craft industry for you. When you started with, was it R&H or SG Convenience?
So it was R&H, which obviously was bought by SG Supergroup, SG Liquors.
Yeah.
So that was my first forte into the liquor industry outside the restaurant business, because that was what I was in beforehand.
Working in restaurants?
Yes. A couple in Cape Town, which I opened, and obviously worked in some bars in London as well back in the day. And pretty much gave me a good knowledge of the food and liquor industry. And obviously also about how good liquor can be. So when the opportunity came to work as a sales rep with R&H, I grabbed it up. Yeah.
And R&H was a big liquor distributor owned by Amora and his family, wasn't it?
Yes. So they started off with also just a bottle store at first, and then saw a gap in the market and grew it into one of the biggest in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
So it was a great thing to be a part of.
And I was consulting to SG Liquor at the time, and I think we did some introductions to Amora and to the group, and I think they ended up selling it to SG, which was at the time trying to set up a national liquor business. So did you end up as a rep with SG?
Yes. I worked for SG for 2 years.
Okay.
And it was a very big learning curve. Obviously, still working on the road with the restaurants and bars and other liquor stores, but then obviously also understand a big corporate business, and obviously everything that goes with that as well.
Yeah, that's a massive challenge, I found.
No, most definitely. I mean, it's a lot easier being able to manage a complement of, let's say, 10 staff in one warehouse. But when it comes to a listed company, which is all over the country with their fingers in lots of pies, that, it's the amount of procedures that have to go into place to make a successful business is a lot more strenuous.
Yeah, and a lot of politics and red tape.
Yep.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, how did the opportunity come about to start this Woodstock? Did you buy it, or was it an existing business?
It was an existing business. After I left SG, because main reason was to go from the corporate side to a little bit more of the non-corporate, so that you can get a little bit more in depth into everything with obviously a lot less red tape. So I started working with Cyberseller, which is an online liquor store.
Okay.
And then I went on as an offline sales manager to create more of an offline division. So that's how my distribution business started going. It was my first brand, Bridleman, and then obviously grew quite well. And then there's an opportunity where Woodstock Liquors, which was then a blue bottle, became available for sale. And obviously, knowing Marnie from London Liquors for so many years, we decided to actually go for it with Cyberseller as a partner as well, and to create that more offline component as well.
To the listeners that don't know Roland Liquors, for me, my biggest treat was always to fly to Cape Town and go visit the Paulana Brewery on the waterfront. And then one day I got to Cape Town and the Paulana had closed, and fortunately, I had read on Facebook about this crazy beer that was selling for 800 Rand at an arbitrary little bottle store in Ruland Street. And so that was my first pilgrimage to visit Roland Liquors, and it was a Brewdog beer that Marnie was selling. I think he probably only had 6 of them, but I just had a look at it and I touched it, and that was kind of my pilgrimage, or my new favorite destination in Cape Town.
That's what Roland did. He became one of the first proper believers from a retailer in especially the craft beer market.
Yes.
And I remember going to the beer festival, the Hamilton Rugby Stadium, and literally every single beer back then was available at Roland Liquors. And that's exactly what he did. He invested when everyone was a little bit scared, and then became one of the first destination stores as a liquor store where people were going to just for its selection and not the convenience aspect, which was great.
Yeah. And when did you meet up with? So you started working with CyberSeller, and then I know that CyberSeller, did they invest in the whole business as well, or is it?
Yes. So there's been a strong belief in the online community that having a normal retail component to their business, online business, is only but a strength. Just because you can never get to every single market online, and at the same time it works with the offline components. So that's why they came in with the opportunity for Woodstock Liquors, and then obviously with money as a business investment. And for me, it worked out quite nice because you got different components coming to the party to make a complete product at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So.
And who is behind CyberSeller? Is it a technology company or is it a wine company?
No, it's Silvertree, they which is an online company, which has a lot of small companies, not small companies, but other companies under its umbrella, which is CyberSeller is one of them, and a few others. And they're looking on investing in obviously pushing online businesses. And but obviously the arrangements, it's always with CyberSeller because that's where obviously it all worked together.
Yeah. But you are based at Woodstock Liquors, is that right? Okay.
Yes. And
challenges in starting a business in Woodstock. I mean, Woodstock is very trendy at the moment, but it's still, it looks at least like a fairly low LSM area.
Yeah, so it's Woodstock's a very mixed clientele area. So, I mean, we have all walks of life walking around. So where, for example, for Roland Liquors, they can be a lot more, let's say, trendy in the sense of, being able to do a lot more fine wine, a lot more craft beers, where for us, we had to take more of the viewpoints of being a community bottle store.
Okay.
So the whole idea is that, you can walk in and get a selection of 200 different craft beers and 100 different craft gins, but at the same time, if you just wanted to get a black label quart, you can still get that.
Yeah. But you've also become somewhat of a, like I said earlier, a lot of the craft gins rely on you, craft beer, I guess, to get their brands out in Cape Town, or who do you service?
Yes, no, definitely. So, I mean, when I started distribution with CyberSeller, and with Woodman being my first brand, I saw that, it was an amazing category of very unique products, all centered around gin, which, didn't really have a route into the market. So, especially from supplying other retailers. So, pretty much, basically built up brands after brands. So, especially some non-local ones like Jennifer and Distillery 031, two obviously local ones like Hope and Hopkins, and quite a few other ones. I just bought a portfolio so that the retailers, instead of having to order from all these small little distilleries and having 100 different invoices at the end of the day, they can just get one at the end of the day with all the ones that they need. And it works quite nicely with that because, I mean, they are high-end products, so obviously it's mixing and matching, so you're not having to really order 6 bottles, having big investments into a new category. So it works quite nicely.
Okay.
And then also works nicely for, these small businesses starting out with their craft gin or now rum or tequila. And, instead of having to run around to deliver 2 bottles there, 3 bottles there, a case here, now they can just focus on growing their brand and making sure, it gets into the market as best as possible.
Well, the big challenge is obviously also to get people to open accounts with you if you want to supply them directly. The amount of paperwork involved is always a nightmare, isn't it?
Most definitely. And that's where it's worked out quite nicely because the distribution is now just over 3 years now. So through that space of time, I've got accounts open with all the liquor cities, majority of the Topses in the Western Cape. And it's all through word of mouth, just obviously retailers looking for that convenience factor of a category which is craft just in general, whether it's beer or spirits, and just make their lives easier in that sense.
Yeah. And, I mean, we started buying from you when I was helping Hillcrest Tops with their craft beer and their craft spirits. And, I mean, you were quite happy to ship even to Durban.
Yeah, so, I mean, the nice thing that's where I'll see having an online component as a partner, they organize great rates from some of the courier companies. So it was the whole idea that also these small companies trying to get going, who can't necessarily afford to send up a lot of stock and have a distributor as well, sales team down in a place, at least they have a solution where other retailers from nationwide can get store trade price from the Western Cape, but obviously being delivered via courier. Yeah,
and how many customers have you got, or outlets have you got in Joburg that you supply, or across the country?
Around the country, obviously it's not too big, but it's probably about 20 to 25 other retailers. You know, it's like your Hillcrest and Belito, Topses and KZN, and there's quite a few liquor cities. Okay. And a couple of Topses and even an Ultra or two around the country as well. You obviously can't find those products at all in the areas, so I just make it easy for them. Yeah. And I mean, for me, the most fun was, and hope I don't get you into trouble, was getting Monkey 47 from you. Yeah, no, it was an interesting situation where Pernod Ricard believed that they really wanted to have the focus on the restaurants and bars with it, but obviously they have to make it available to other distributors who supply the restaurants. So a little bit of a loophole, but end of the day, it worked out quite nice in the fact that a couple of retailers who really believe in the craft and know the product were able to get on the shelves as well. Yeah, that was quite exciting. And some of the hiccups that go with starting a distribution in a retail business? The biggest thing, like any other distribution business, is just making sure you can get the product to the customer when they want it. Yeah. And obviously the way they need it as well. And that's why I put in things like no minimum delivery. So if someone just needs that one bottle, then they get that one bottle. And be able to offer the same delivery to the local Cape and Casas and weekly for the rest of the Western Cape. You know, it works quite well. From the retail side is pretty much from the craft side of things is being able to maintain and grow a portfolio of the most amazing products at the same time doing it where your rate of sale can actually justify it. Yeah, is probably the biggest thing. So, yeah. And have you managed to build up a loyal following or a tribe, as they say, in your community? Oh, most definitely. Unfortunately, I lost a bit of it with having been closed for 5 months with the fire. Yeah. But it's so nice to see those same faces after being reopened for such a short space of time coming through. And that will be from a range of different products, which is quite nice. So I have certain customers who come in for, you know, the seasonal craft beers, limited editions, to the more Devil's Peak type of aspect, which is always available. And then the customers who are coming in to look at the special wines that I've gone in, or the special gins. So it's created a nice element of the different clients I get just from the portfolio that I stock. Yeah, tell us a little bit about the fire. I didn't realize you were closed for 5 months. Yeah. In early February, had a electrical fire when we were closed. So no one was in danger. But unfortunately, the damage caused meant the shop needed to be completely redone. And with insurances and the renovation itself, it took a very long time, a lot longer than I would have liked. Yeah. But, you know, it's the changes, I think, that everyone faces in one way or another when it comes to having your own business. So. Yeah. Okay. And
so people can buy whatever you stock. Is it available online at cyber sellers, or how does it work?
No, unfortunately not. So cyber seller has always been more of a online retailer, and they focus so much on it because that's what they do.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're still in the process of eventually looking at be able to create a better platform where they'll have more availability to the spirits and beers that Woodstock Liquors has, but then available to everyone in the country, obviously.
Yeah, but wholesalers can just request a price list and order off that, and then you ship it, and because you've got access, you've got access to the cheap courier rates. It's viable for you to do that.
Exactly. It is in the pipeline to eventually set up an online ordering platform for trade customers as well.
Okay.
But as it is, it's the type of things take a bit of time to set up properly, because obviously you don't want to do things in such a way that will cause any problems in the future when emails and even WhatsApp work so well these days.
Yeah. Okay. And so where can people find you? So you're in Woodstock, and what's the street?
Victoria Road, 175.
175 Victoria.
The hustle and bustle road, and lots of traffic.
And no parking.
But no parking, the same the normal Cape Town way.
Yeah.
But at least the traffic is always constantly moving, so we get lucky in that aspect.
Yeah.
But if you want to pop by, we obviously, we still, like I say, we try to focus on making sure we have as good a selection as we can afford, as such you can always find what you need.
Okay.
Especially if it's not a porcupine ridge.
Okay, I get it. So yeah, it must be quite difficult to make your store differentiate your store to all the massive chain stores that are in all big cities in South Africa today. So and you do that by selecting and stocking products that are not available in those supermarkets and the big chains.
Oh, most definitely. Obviously, you have to have a balance. You cannot just do it overnight, because people also do come to me for the convenience as well. And if they want a Wolf Trap Red, then I must have a Wolf Trap Red.
Yeah.
You can't, there's a certain amount where you can play around with, but slowly but surely I try to convert those customers using wines from smaller estates to also promote them, and also the quality they give, and obviously differentiate myself from the other big retailers, because the main reason is it also comes down to pricing. If I have to put, let's say, Spear wines in my store, which I don't currently stock, there's a chance that the Pick and Pay down the road or the Checkers down the road is selling a trade price off their shelf, and then a customer walks in my store, sees the same wine, and says, "Why am I so expensive?" Yeah. And it's like, unfortunately, I'm not a big national retailer, which obviously gets a lot of discount for buying pallets or truckloads. But that's why I try to focus on pushing the smaller estates, which a lot of the time have better quality, and obviously being able to, so that this is the right price, this is the value of the product.
So you've moved Elephant Gin to
Short Premier Brands.
Okay.
Yeah, like I was saying, I never had the time to grow the brand. So I mean, as you know, just the restaurant and bar listings on their own are so important to be able to grow a brand with liquid on lips, and I have zero time. I mean, I barely do any sales for my distribution business whatsoever. I rely on the actual suppliers themselves to do it themselves, and I just become all the route to market.
How's Knut Hansen doing down there?
Knut Hansen's doing very nice, but there's been a lot of love, and that's first of all worked on the packaging, and then forget the listing in the first place, but then actually then getting the resales, because the gin's very good as well. Yeah. That's why I say, I thought a lot of the gin guys, don't get too excited when in your first couple of months you make all these sales because all these new listings. A few months later, see if their stock actually sold off their shelves. That's when you know if it's going to be a success or not.
Yeah, that's a big test. To the not filling the pipeline, but getting the pipeline move.
Exactly, and I see it all the time. Yeah, no, it's. I think the problem is that it's only going to get worse in the fact that people keep pushing out new gins and they're bad quality.
Yeah.
And if let's say a year ago, even now, I would say people will be willing to buy a gin off the shelf without even trying it because they want to try every new gin.
Yeah.
But now they've maybe picked up 2 or 3 bottles where they were crap.
Yeah.
And now now it says, okay, well, I'm going to try the ones that I know are good. And then that completely halts the growth of at least new gins into the market.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind so much because literally all the bad gins need to filter out and go away because they're ruining their own category on their own. So.
Yeah. And I try to kind of get the producers to make miniatures so that, you know, the risk wasn't so big. You know, they could use small bottles to trial, and then if they like the gin, they could go and buy the bigger bottles.
Yeah, no, that's where it's a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing in the sense that you'll get a lot of the customers who might have bought a 750 but not buy the mini one.
Yeah.
And they never actually get to buy the 750. Yeah, but I mean, end of the day, liquid and lips is always the best way. So I tell every single person bringing out a new gin, or people who have been going already and not understanding why they're not getting the sales they want to, is that it's about the restaurant and bar listings. If you don't get those, you can give up already. No, it's a simple thing, liquid on lips. You can have the best gin in the bottle. I'll take the 3031's Durban Dry Gin. It's freaking amazing gin. I think it's a lovely, lovely gin. But people aren't willing to try it off the shelf because it's from Durban. They don't want to do Durban. The labeling, I don't think, works for the Western Cape. And no one's ever tried it before. So if they had more listings in the restaurants and bars, then the people try it. Okay, yeah, I definitely when they sit in the store the next time around, they might buy a bottle for the 350, almost 400 rand a bottle. I always say for a lot of these new products coming out is having the right sales force behind them. So people who partner up with like a right promotions and stuff are going to get more love because they will get all the important bar and restaurant listings because they have built those relationships over so many years. That they can get those listings. And then all of a sudden you'll filter. That's why Musgrave, I would say partly, that's why they're as big as they are. The people used to go into a bar and they'll see Musgrave craft gin. What is that? And then they would try it out. And then like, okay, great. It's awesome. Then they'll buy a bottle. And they're going to go to the bottle store the next time.
Yeah.
Because also I find in-store tastings, at least for my side, don't really work out that well. Especially because my clientele is still very mixed, obviously, but it's your clientele who's willing to spend 400 rand on a bottle of gin isn't going to be necessarily coming at your busy time on a Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon. They seem to not have to work very hard. They'll come at 12 o'clock in the afternoon or even 10 o'clock in the morning. So to have a structured tasting where you can get to the clientele who are willing to buy is actually, I think, a very difficult thing for all retailers. Yeah. So you end up having a person sitting there pouring a lot of gin, and then they sell maybe 1 bottle, maybe 2 bottles. But that's why I say it's all for building brands when it comes to the alcohol market. It has to give precedence to actually generate demand from the restaurants and the bars, and that in tune will already generate demand for the liquor stores.
Yeah. Okay. Inacio, thanks for joining us today, and to all the craft manufacturers and distillers and brewers out there, give Inacio a call at Woodstock Liquors if you want a distribution partner in the Western Cape. And yeah, if you're visiting Cape Town, don't be scared to go into Woodstock and to go and visit the store itself. And if there are any specialist retailers you can learn from Woodstock Liquors, you can order a nice selection of craft spirits and that are not available, everywhere. And you can stock them in your store. Inacio will work out a good price for you and ship them. Remember I think the last time we spoke, you shipped something off to in the middle of Mpumalanga, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, that's a nice thing about working with the couriers when it's affordable, is that then any customer can get stock. And as long as the price is good enough where they can still make a profit of being a retailer, then it works out very nicely.
Yeah. Thanks, Inacio. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Holger.
We'll see you soon.
Definitely. Keep well.
Thanks.